Hi, and welcome, ladies, to this interview with Lauren Waddell. You are going to learn so much in this interview and really enjoy it. Welcome, Lauren. Thank you so much for talking to everyone today. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself to the girls? Tell them a little bit about what you do.
Yes, so my name is Lauren Waddell. I am a family law attorney at the Waddell Law Firm, and I represent clients in legal matters consisting of divorces, custody battles, possibly someone who wants to get married but wants to protect financial matters and wants to draft a marital property agreement. I help clients when things change and custody needs to change, possibly. Maybe there needs to be a change in visitation for children in a family. Maybe a child needs to go to a different home because of some circumstances. So I help families in that regard. And love what I do. I get to help people that are dealing with some really serious matters and resolve them with them. So I enjoy doing that.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. And that you actually get really personally involved, I think, with people. I think that's people think of like maybe like doctors getting kind of like personal with their clients and that kind of thing. But attorneys really have that that delicate responsibility, you know, to be and know intimate details of people's lives and everything that can be pretty emotional, I think, and painful. I'm helping them process that. So that's I would think an incredibly rewarding, but maybe sometimes draining too. I don't know.
Both. Yes, you have to be a people person and very compassionate and patient because people are going through crisis. But it is rewarding. It's rewarding to walk them through the system, and people do get stronger throughout and get back on their feet and get back on their life path. So yes, it is very rewarding if you like people and like to help people. I think it's a good career path.
Awesome. So what motivated you to want to enter into becoming, a family law attorney?
So when I was a young girl, I was about 10 when my grandfather passed away. And he had 3 children, my aunt, my uncle, and my mother. And my aunt was special needs. And he set up a trust for her, which actually helped take care of her for the rest of her life financially. So even though my mom and my uncle had to make decisions for her from time to time, they never had to come out of pocket financially. That financial burden wasn't on anyone because my grandfather thought ahead and worked with lawyers to set up a trust for her. And so when I went to law school, I thought I wanted to be a trust and estates lawyer and help people that way. But as I went through my coursework, I found that I really liked family law coursework. Like I liked my family law course. I liked my marital property course. And I even took a course my 3rd year in law school that was an advocacy course for family law. And so we had a mock trial custody battle. And I really, really loved the coursework. So my focus direction changed a little bit, still in law, but wanted to help people in that way.
So, and that's really interesting too, that you brought up like the different types of attorneys and the different types of law. Because I know, like, for me, one of the things that I've always thought about is like, oh, well, you've got like the prosecutors, so, that kind of thing, and like the district attorney's office and that. And then you've got like the defendant, like what you see essentially like on Law and Order or any kind of show like that. So how specialized can you get within being an attorney?
Very, very specialized. And really, so many different personality types would fit into law because I like the courtroom and I like to, be intimately involved with my clients. Some people enjoy corporate work and like big projects, but don't really like the personal level. Or some people like to just draft contracts and never see a courtroom, and that's okay too. We need all types of personalities and all types of people. You can have people that draft wills, people that, like you mentioned, are prosecutors or defense lawyers to, stand in our criminal system and protect rights that way. We have personal injury when people get, there's accidents and people get hurt, or products liability cases. I mean, there's so many different avenues that, young women can go in the legal field. And I'm proud to say there's a lot of women judges now. We have we have 10 family law courts in Harris County, which is where I practice. And a majority of the judges are now women. And so women can really advance in a legal career these days and do quite well. I mean, we have all the way up to our U.S. Supreme Court. So a lot of people know Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yes. So, and we have 3 women on the Texas Supreme Court right now. So law is a field that women are making an impact and are rising.
And that's really inspiring to see, because I don't think it was that long ago where it really would have been a little bit more of, I don't want to say like a man's world, but definitely predominantly male, and that kind of thing. So I'm excited to see that we've got such a growing female population within all aspects of that legal field. It's very cool to see. So you mentioned some of the coursework that you took. Like, what all is involved with the process of becoming an attorney, no matter what like your specialization might be?
So you have to get an undergraduate degree. It doesn't matter what it's in. I got a business degree, but there were a bunch of different varieties. When I was going through law school, some had English background, English degree, some had a political science degree. Really, it doesn't matter. Just make good grades in your undergrad. And then you'll have to take the LSAT, the law school admission test. Do well on that. That and your GPA will be what law schools consider. And then you will go to law school. It's a 3-year curriculum. Some people, I have a few friends that finish faster than that, but typically it's a 3-year commitment. And then after you graduate from law school, you'll have your JD, and then you sit for the bar exam. And I know that there are some young ladies right now that I know that are just about to graduate and worried about studying for this July bar exam. And then once you get your bar exam results and you get a passing test grade, you are a licensed lawyer in the state of Texas. There's also board certification. So after I practiced for 5 years, I took another exam to specialize in family law. So I have that credential of board certification in family law. And so once a lawyer picks a path, they can then get a specialized certification if they'd like to. But that's not necessary to practice in Texas, but just an extra certification.
And just so some other questions that I kind of was thinking about when you were talking about that is continuing education. Like, is that something? Because I think some people feel like, well, younger people that are getting ready to go to college, like, well, once I've graduated, I got my degree and I got my job, I don't have to worry about taking classes anymore. Is that the case with being an attorney?
You have to consistently study. I mean, that's just part of it. So there's a requirement. It's 15 hours annually that the state bar requires. But you'll find once you're in your law practice, there's so many opportunities to go to different conferences, and they're actually quite fun. You get to be with your peers and talk about the law and the judges and what's going on in your practice area. But yes, to stay licensed, you have to stay up to date, and they require you to do so much coursework a year.
And then, because you were talking about like for the state of Texas, so is it like once I become an attorney, I can practice in any state, or like, Texas, I can also practice law in like surrounding states, or how does that work?
So each state has their own bar exam that you have to pass. Some states, there are a few that if you've been practicing for a certain amount of time in one state, you can get a license there. I'm not quite sure exactly what states do that, but there are a few. But most of the time, you're going to have to sit for a different bar exam in each state if you want to be licensed in different states.
Gotcha. And then earlier we talked about, like women who are on the Supreme Court, that kind of thing. What are some of the sorry, my mom and grandma live here, and so I just was making sure that they were okay, that they didn't need something. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So, trying to remember my train of thought. Oh, so, hey, Grandma, do you need something? I can't do, Grandma, do you need something?
No.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned earlier about like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court, that kind of thing. What are maybe some of the like different opportunities for professional growth? Like, what are the different career paths? Like, do you just become an attorney and that kind of thing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like the opportunities for promotion. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So, you can pick a path. Like, I have friends that have transferred from a different practice area into family law. Just because, I practice family law doesn't mean that my license, I could practice, I could take a criminal case tomorrow. I probably wouldn't. That's not my specialty, but I could. I'm licensed to practice law in the state of Texas in state courts. I've also had one case where it went into federal court. It was an international abduction case. And so it was about the treaty to return a child back to her home country. And so I had to actually get licensed to practice in federal court. It was just maybe an 8-hour course. And then I had to get someone to sponsor me. And I had to do the same thing. I ended up arguing in the Fifth Circuit, which is the Federal Court of Appeals. And I had to get my license there, but it was relatively easy. I didn't have to take an exam. I just had to get someone to sponsor it and fill out the application. They may do a background check and look into me, make sure I'm licensed in Texas and I'm good to go. But that typically you're going to find yourself in district courts. But whatever interests you, you can take that path. But if you decide after a few years that's not the type of law you want to practice, you can practice in a different area without having to take another test. Being promoted, young lawyers may decide they want to work for a big firm. And each firm has kind of got its own political situation. And sometimes there's a lot of opportunity for growth and promotion, and some firms there's not. And so I think that's just kind of, you learn as you go, and hopefully you can get an ally in the firm that can help you understand the culture and understand, if there is a partnership track, what is that? If it's kind of a not really a said rule, but kind of a culturally understood, what does your firm do? And so each firm is different. I had my own firm. I'm my own firm now. I've been in a bigger firm. For family law was like 12 lawyers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but our family law firm is kind of bigger. And then I've been with a smaller firm with, 3 or 4 lawyers. Some law firms have hundreds of lawyers. Some have just one, right? So there's so many, the spectrum is so wide and so broad that each student can find, or lawyer can find what suits them best. Some personalities, they want to be in a big firm and like that dynamic, and some maybe don't prefer that, and maybe more intimate setting is more, comfortable for them. So you can really find the path that you want. Just looking internally, deciding what suits you the best and your personality the best.
I think that's really great, because that really outlines for the girls too, like the fact that there is a lot of variety within the legal field. With being an attorney, you still have a lot of flexibility to find that place and your little niche, where you would fit in to everything. And you brought out a really good point too, that I want to make sure that the girls kind of walk away with as well. And it's not just for the attorneys, but it would also be for, like, no matter what career you're going to go into, is that every office is going to have their own culture, and finding out what that culture is and getting yourself aligned with a mentor who can help you navigate those waters and really, help you figure out, what are the bosses looking for in order to help you progress within your career and everything. So that's really, really important. So thank you for bringing that up. That's great.
Sure. And if the girls are interested in like a judicial path, I think a good idea would be clerk in a court. Oh. If judges have clerks, and you could do like a summer clerkship or something. I think that that would be really great if you're interested in the judiciary to get to know the judges. Go watch what they do, see if what they do is something you like. It is political, so most judges have to run for office unless you're a federal judge and you get appointed for life. If you're a district state judge, you have to run, for election and to keep your job. And so some personalities are suited for that and some aren't, but to kind of think that through. But I think the more women we can have on the bench, the better.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more on that one. So you've alluded to a couple different areas, but what has been what you think is maybe the biggest thing that you've struggled with in your career, and how have you handled it?
I think the biggest struggle, and I think when we are advocates, probably in any litigation type of work, is the opposing counsel. Not all. Most are very professional and most are, fine to work with, but there are some that don't have the same professionalism and the same moral behavior that you would expect from a professional. And it's very hard to deal with those types of individuals and stay where you need to be professionally and how you communicate with them. And sometimes when we're in the midst of a fight, the client wants you to fight back, and fighting back professionally, as within the bounds of decency, when the other person isn't even decent, is a struggle. But really, it's the best. And anytime I find myself feeling like I just want to, not be nice to the other side, I just keep my cool and be professional at all times. It's easier said than done sometimes, but it is the way to go. And you'll feel better about yourself when you act that way. So, you be the lady, and he or she that isn't acting right, they can just do what they do. But it's hard, and it's hard when you're in an adversarial setting. But I think that's probably the biggest struggle.
Definitely, for sure. And I would think, too, that depending on where that confrontation is taking place, there are lots of eyes that are watching.
Yes.
And watching to see how are you handling that. And then, because I would imagine that if something like that is happening, like in the courtroom in front of a judge, yeah, your client wants you to fight back or whatever, and fight back the same way that they're doing. But it's like you've got a judge who's watching you and is maybe making decisions, determined on how it is that you're handling to respond. So I would think that that's very, very challenging for sure. Yeah, because sometimes your gut instinct is not always to be that professional.
Right.
And again, you've alluded to like some of the things that are the most rewarding as well. So really being able to, but can you maybe, since you've talked about that, can you maybe think of like an incident that has been like really rewarding for you, especially that maybe recently?
One of my favorites is my international abduction case, where the little girl was abducted from Paraguay, and we filed in federal court and got her returned home. That was really rewarding, and I've stayed connected to that family, and actually went to Paraguay and visited them after. So that was so much fun. And truly just seeing, I had a client who, even through this COVID situation, dad was refusing to send the kiddos back, and they were in Colorado, and he was being not nice about it, and got to help kind of walk my client through. We were about to file something, but I kind of talked her through it, and she ended up getting her kiddos back. Okay. From Colorado. So that was really great. And, staying in touch even through this, I've had clients, even old clients, call me just asking about questions like, what happens with the stay-at-home order? Do I get my possession of my children? And to be a resource for them and give them the governor's order that said, yes, your possession still happens with the stay-at-home order. And to be, a help even to my clients after the case is over, to maintain that connection and to make sure that they're okay. And I, can be a resource for them. Really, I've just been, having conversations with my clients. They're stressed out, And so, talking to that, look, we don't have to, because the market's going crazy. We don't have to settle your case right now. The courts are closed except for emergencies, So I like being there for them. I like being kind of a shoulder to lean on. And when they tell me this past week, a client said, I feel so much better now that I've talked to you. And that warms my heart, and it just reminds me why I do what I do. And, our clients are going through one of the roughest times of their lives, and we're there for them, and we're there to kind of help them keep their head clear and guide them through the process. And, I really love it when my clients, stay connected with me and tell me, their daughter, who was involved in a custody case years ago, graduated from college. And, not all clients stay in touch, but the special ones do. And it's really, really nice. And, you have people. I remember when I was a young lawyer, a woman came in and she was like trembling, and she was in an abusive relationship. And I remember walking out of the courthouse, getting her a kick-out order to where her husband couldn't come home, and feeling on top of the world. To help people in the legal system is a very powerful tool and a very powerful skill. And, to be able to help people that really, truly in that moment can't help themselves is a really good thing. So I like helping people. I think most people that go to law school do want to help in different ways. And so you can find different ways to help people, whether it's, someone who was hurt, by an automobile accident, or somebody was, was robbed, or, somebody had something happen and they find themselves in the criminal system, or whatever it may be. We have an amazing judicial system in our government that does protect people's rights and helps people resolve conflict. And, lawyers are the tools to help them find their way through that. So,
I think that's great, because I don't think that a lot of people, when they think about attorneys, because honestly, sometimes attorneys get a bad rap.
Yes.
Kind of thing, but being able to see that there really is this compassionate side, and it is this side, where these are people who are there to help you through those vulnerable situations. And so for the girls to kind of see that, even if they're just exploring it, like, this is something where the whole, I think the strength within women really is that caretaker, that caretaker side, having that compassion and that empathy. And that really is, being an attorney is really a place where you can really use those skills very nicely, that I don't think a lot of people think about. So that's awesome. Makes me almost jealous that I'm not an attorney right now. So how is being an attorney, because there was back, when you were in college and everything like that, you were going through the classes, and so you've got this idea of what it's going to be like to be an attorney. How is things now? Like, how is that different than what you thought it was going to be?
Well, I thought that I was going to do estate planning and more of like a transactional practice. I didn't really see myself in the courtroom. Not that I just really hadn't thought about it. And then when I was going through law school and had my family law advocacy class where I had my mock trial, I loved being in the courtroom. I loved it. It was like a thrill. And I didn't really know that about myself. I didn't do like debate in high school or anything like that, which I think it would be a good idea for people that are interested in maybe being litigators, thinking about it. So instead of just, writing papers and helping people, I still write a lot, but I love the courtroom, and that's something that I didn't know that I would. That's not something that I really thought about.
That's really cool. And so one of the things I just thought of too is like, because we talked about like classes and those kinds of things to do to become an attorney, but what are, maybe you brought it up like with taking debate, what are some of the other, like, I guess you could put it under the category of like soft skills that you need to really work on and develop, that can be doing now, like in high school, like doing debate, those kinds of things? Like, what are some other things that would be helpful?
Writing skills, reading, writing. Really powerful writing skills can get you a long way. Communication, debate. Math, yeah, but I think that's more of a medical field. A lot of people say we go to law school because we're not good at math. So if you're not good at math, it's okay. Be good at English, you'll be great. You know, when I went to undergrad, I was in the business. I got a business degree, but I didn't know if because when I was in my undergraduate studies, I wanted to go to law school, and I thought maybe I should go to do political science. And so that's why I think it's important for people to know that you can get any degree and go to law school. And so when I went to talk to my advisor, he said, why would you do that? Just get a business degree. You don't have to switch to political science. Just get your business degree. And he said, you know, think about economics. So I did. I majored in management and economics. But truly just do well in school. Your GPA is what they're looking at. I do think that, like I said, writing skills are really good. But you can go, so you could literally not even think you're going to law school, graduate from college, and then go. So it's not like med school where you have to go and take all your sciences to get in. So did I answer your question?
You did. Sorry, I had a small coughing little thing. I've got a little tickle. Sorry, yes, you did. That was amazing.
You're fine.
So thank you so much for that information and for sharing about your career with us. Ladies, be sure that you scroll down below the video. Lauren's gone a little bit more in detail of the written portion of her interview. And then below that is the comment section where you can put any questions or comments that you have for her, and she will be sure to get back to you and answer those questions. So thank you so much, ladies. You have a great day. Thank you, Lauren.
Bye. Thank you.